if let's say you were walking in the street and then a policeman just stopped you, was like, hey, I know you're wearing a mask, but get your ass back into your house because there is a pandemic going on.
They can't.
They
Do they
can't.
do that there?
What?
No, we can't. Do they do that where you're from?
No, like here there is no lockdown because like we have more dangerous shit to worry about than a flu. We have a war going on, so it's like a flu is the last of our worries.
Damn. That's all it is. Are you guys like in it?
Yeah.
I mean, how close is it to you?
Like right now, I'm in a city that is safe, but like a couple of years ago, it wasn't safe. There were still like terrorists and suicide bombs and shit like that. But like 2 years ago, like my city got liberated, so now it's only like 20% left of the country that still is under the control of ISIS.
Damn. So you guys aren't fighting us. You're fighting ISIS?
We are fighting ISIS and Al Qaeda. We're fighting like Islamic extremist terrorist groups.
Got you. Are you guys, are we allies?
Say that again?
Are we allies?
No, actually, America and Syria are not allies at all because this whole shit like started in the Obama days, like back in 2011. So like Obama isn't friends with the current Syrian president, so he wanted to overthrow him. So how did he overthrow him? He didn't overthrow him, but what was his plan? His plan was to start like financing and funding ISIS and Al Qaeda because he was hoping that ISIS and Al Qaeda will get very strong in Syria and then overthrow the Syrian government. But like that backfired. So this is like one of the main reasons why Syria and America aren't friends, or they aren't talking to each other. We're talking, of course, governments, not people. Like me and you, we don't have a problem with each other. It's not our fault that politicians are assholes. So this is the main.
Damn.
Yeah. So this is the main reason why we are not allies, because like America actually funded ISIS in Syria.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it's very well documented right now. Like at first, like people used to think it was a conspiracy theory and so on, but then it got exposed. Like there's even like a clip of Hillary Clinton saying it on TV. Like she was saying about the jihadists that they started financing.
So I know you had a problem with the government didn't like your Syria didn't like Obama or Hillary. What about like those are more Democrats? What about more like Republicans as Trump or Bush?
It's like the way we look at it is that no matter who the American president is, whether he's a Republican or a Democrat, the foreign policy never changes. You understand? So it's the same shit. When you think about it, for an example, George Bush, he was a Republican and he started a war with Iraq, for an example. Obama was a Democrat and he started a war with Syria and Libya. So it's like no matter who the president is, whether he's right-wing or left-wing, it's like the foreign policy never changes. The inner policy in America is the one that will change. So let's say if a Republican gets in power, he would start putting policies like, in favor pro-life stuff. Republicans are pro-life, Democrats are pro-abortion, for an example. So like these kinds of inner laws are the ones that will change in America. But when you talk about foreign policy and military bases and the military-industrial complex, it's the military-industrial complex that actually controls the politicians. So whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, always know that it's the same shit.
Damn.
It's the same shit. Yeah, unfortunately, maybe hopefully one day you guys would vote for like a anti-war president. But it's like every single 4 years, whenever a candidate that is anti-war comes along and speaks the truth, it's like they never give him a chance. Even the mainstream media wouldn't even give them coverage. Because like, oh, this guy's anti-war. No, that's not good for us, because war to politicians is all about profit. It's all about money. It's all about, oil and interest and shit like that. But of course, like whenever they enter a war with a new country, they would always say, oh, we are entering this country because we care for the people. We want to bring these people freedom and liberty and democracy, But look back at Iraq. Where is the democracy and freedom in Iraq? What about Libya now? Libya, After America like entered Libya and they destroyed Libya, right now in Libya they're selling actually slaves. There's like a slave trade in Libya going on today. That's after, America attacked Libya and then Gaddafi, the president, died and so on. Libya got so fucked up to the point that they started selling black slaves in the market. Imagine how fucked up that is. Yeah, you can read about all of this stuff that I'm telling you. It's very well documented. So it looks like,
Holy fuck.
yeah,
Hang
yeah.
on, yeah.
Look at Iraq. Look at Iraq for an example. Do you know, like, America invaded Iraq when George Bush was still president and Saddam Hussein was still president? That was in the early 2000s. Today we're in 2020, and Iraq is still completely fucked up. America has always been in wars in the Middle East in general, so that it's like they always enter a country and they come up with any excuse. I'll give you an example. Like, for an example, in Iraq, before George Bush invaded Iraq, they came out in public and they said Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. And this is one of the main reasons why we are going to enter Iraq. So they entered Iraq, they bombed the shit out of it, they killed the president, they stole all the oil and gold and shit like that. Then later on, when the whole war and the whole country was destroyed, the American public started asking the American politicians. They were like, okay, you guys sent us to war and thousands of American soldiers died in this war because of weapons of mass destruction. Can you show us where is the weapons of mass destruction? And then the American politicians came out and they were like, oh, it turned out that it was a mistake. He didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Sorry, my bad. You understand? That was like after thousands of American soldiers died, after millions of Iraqis got their homes destroyed and became refugees and so on. They later on just were like, oops, sorry, So it's like, whenever they want to attack a country, they will always come up with a lame-ass excuse, Especially, they'll be like, oh, we're doing this for the children of Syria. We care about them. We want to bring them democracy and freedom and shit like that, and teach them gender studies, and so that they can, if a man can identify as a woman and shit like, they want to bring us this kind of democracy. So they come up with it. Yeah, they always come up with an excuse to attack another country. But at the end of the day, the people that really pay the price are the people, not the politicians,